First of all, thanks to all of you that tweeted your questions to me for this hashtag TNA 2014 Q&A. If you want to participate in the next Q&A, go to Twitter, follow @OffTheRopeShow, and tweet your hashtag Royal Rumble questions to me. The best questions will be used in the next Q&A, which will be coming up next Wednesday. And that could be Royal Rumble questions for 2014 or for any Royal Rumbles past, present, or future. So keep that in mind. Also, tomorrow I'll be appearing for, I believe it's 2 hours on the More to Life podcast. All that information for you to go check out is in the description box down below. Hopefully you'll give my man a listen and you'll get to hear the Schleg Daddy talk about a wide variety of topics, both professional wrestling and sports, and maybe some other life stuff as well. That's 2 hours of the Schleg Daddy. That's almost too much for everybody, but not quite. You could always use a little bit more of me. More. All right, anyways. So check that out. Make sure you give it a live listen tomorrow. That's Thursday, January 16th, 2014 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Links in the description box. Next Q&A topic next Wednesday will be hashtag Royal Rumble. Go to @OffTheRopeShow, follow @OffTheRopeShow, tweet your questions using that hashtag. So let's get started with this Q&A. Hashtag TNA 2014. MC Big Bird starts it off. Should TNA be scared shitless with the WWE and Spike rumors? Yes. Yes. And yes. Especially if there's any real substance to them. WWE getting involved with Viacom would be damn near maybe the death of TNA. That would be terrible for TNA and bad in general for professional wrestling as a whole. And your reaction to Jarrett leaving to work with Toby Keith. Hey, you know what? As long as Jarrett's not wrestling full time and he's just going to be a behind the scenes force, I don't mind it so much, frankly. It's apparently such a big announcement that they haven't announced it yet. How about that? At Strange Ways here. If TNA were ever to turn bad influence face, do you think this would help or ruin them as entertaining characters? I don't think you have to turn them babyface. The crowd just kind of would push them babyface. And I don't think it would really diminish them in any way because they kind of transcend that point of not really being heels anyways. They just kind of become entertaining tweener guys. At Apocalyptic 513. What way do you think TNA can get more ratings and draw bigger crowds in 2014? One, promote your product. Instead of giving big salaries to guys that aren't drawing houses like Sting and Jeff Hardy and Bully Ray, maybe you save that money and you reinvest it in your product by promoting your product. And, really establishing what you want your identity as a company to be in 2014 and beyond and create some new stars. Just a couple of generic things, but I think they definitely hold true. At Black Fox 86, do you see either James Storm or Robert Roode winning the TNA World Championship this year? My money would probably be more on Robert Roode than it would be James Storm at this point, but yes, I could see one of those at least being champion by the end of the year. At Biffo 2010, what can TNA do to reestablish the X Division? Get more talent in the X Division, have multiple feuds involving the X Division, and feature the X Division consistently every week on television. Just three kind of generic things. Also, do you think a James Storm heel turn would be a good idea? No. It could work, but I think people would rather cheer him than boo him, so why force them to boo him if they don't want to? Maybe instead of focusing on turning him heel, maybe give more reasons for more people to cheer him more often. At Ghost HPM, who will be inducted to the TNA Hall of Fame this year? Ain't gonna be Jarrett. Ain't gonna be AJ Styles. Ah, Christ, who would it be? Angle? He'll show up. No, who the hell knows? It'd be somebody dumb, probably. Who will EC3 choose as a tag team partner to face the Bromans? Rockstar Spud, I hope. Who will be TNA World Heavyweight Champion in 2014? If I had to throw out a couple of guesses right now, Magnus obviously is one. Maybe Gunner. Maybe Robert Roode. Maybe AJ Styles. Stay tuned for that. At A_Rye_EC3. Nice Twitter tag there. Do you think TNA will come to their senses and get Kenny King and Matt Morgan back on TV in 2014? Kenny King, I would hope so. But as far as Matt Morgan, it sounds like he's pretty much done with the big companies. He said something about, I believe, being done with professional wrestling, even though I see him booked for an independent show later this month. Um, every time it seemed like they were getting ready to do something big with Matt Morgan, they wouldn't. And then with Kenny King, he's a talented individual who has multiple sets of tools to work with. I don't understand why they haven't featured him more. I don't know. Is he legit injured or something, or are they just not fucking featuring him, or did he get released and I don't know what? I mean, I'm legitimately asking because I really don't know why the hell otherwise you wouldn't feature Kenny King on television. At Piznik64, will TNA have their own network like the WWE? Oh, I needed that, Piznik. Thank you so much. No. No. Could you imagine TNA would try and charge like $7.99 a month and give you like a quarter of all their old pay-per-views, and then they would only show like the Jeff Jarrett DVDs. Oh God. At Lucid LJ, do you think this will be the year TNA closes its doors and goes under? If the WWE to Viacom rumors end up being true, I could see it. Otherwise, no. While they maybe are disappointed, Viacom and Spike TV, with the numbers that TNA is doing, they're still doing enough of a television rating on cable to justify having them in a primetime slot. And that's the truth. At OTRS motherfucker, can you please explain to us how happy you'd be if Jeff Jarrett came back to TNA? This happy. Right there. That's one for you. That's really your question. I know a lot of you sick, twisted fucks would be ecstatic because you'd be like, it's the return of a soon Jeff Jarrett position. What if he remade Aces and Eights in 2014? Here's two for you. Can't believe you asked that question. The temerity of you. At the Iron Man 316, do you think TNA is going to hire some new knockouts this year in 2014? I would think so, I would hope so, and God, do they need to. At Blue Goblin 01, who do you think could be Magnus's best potential opponent in 2014? Some of you will say Samoa Joe. Some of you would say if they went back to AJ Styles at some point. Some of you might say a Kurt Angle. Some of you might say a Sting, even though he's not technically supposed to be able to wrestle for the title. Maybe James Storm. What the hell? And you also ask, I know this is a lame question, but do you see TNA surviving this year? My indication at this point would be yes, but the next couple of months are going to be critical as the WWE starts to negotiate their next television deal. They might try to use Viacom as leverage over NBC Universal with Comcast. Ultimately, I would anticipate the WWE would stay with NBC Universal. As a result, I don't see them bumping TNA off of Spike and out of Viacom. So, yes, for now, I see TNA surviving this year. What good and bad things do you see in the future of the EC3 character in TNA? The good of it being is that since he's associated with Dixie Carter's on-screen character, is that he's going to continue to be featured. The bad of that is if they only have him be a cowardly chicken shit heel, people might not take him as seriously. That maybe would be one thing. I think the old Derek Bateman is actually a somewhat talented performer, and I kind of like the EC3 gimmick, but this is a problem again with TNA where they really lack that structured mid-card for guys to be able to progress and elevate up. It's just kind of like you come in and you're here or you're down here. And it's really hard for them to develop characters and build up characters the right way without that clearly established mid-card. Let's see here. At 1WKHN, what would you like to see TNA change in 2014? Well, biggest thing would be less emphasis on the old fucks and the WWE rejects. Another primary thing would be to see them create 2 or 3 main event stars for their company this year. New guys, fresh faces. At Sterniker, with TNA losing usually a couple big names a year, do you see them losing a guy like a Jeff Hardy or a Sting? Perhaps, and I hope they do. I mean, maybe, without being privy to all of TNA's financial particulars, I can't really envision other than some merch that they move. And again, how much merch could they really be moving? How much could they be helping in the action figure licensing, etc.? How much are guys like Jeff Hardy or Sting really helping your television ratings? When you do have pay-per-views, your pay-per-view buys, your live event attendance. It's just you've crammed them down our throats and pounded them on our throats for too long, to the point where they start to lose their luster because they've been in TNA too long and they no longer are big time stars. They're just another one of the guys. At Confi Burgess, will Christopher Daniels be a world champion this year? I don't think so. You could maybe do some nice story with him that he's been there for so many years, never been champion, and he could sit there and go for the top belt. You could make a story out of that, but I don't think you will this year. At Biffo 2010, with all the dumb dick booking decisions, that's my phrase, brother, made in TNA over the years, who do you blame for their lack of progress? Everybody involved. It starts with Dixie, Jeff Jarrett, Hogan, Bischoff, Russo, Cornette, all the people that were involved, Dirty Dutch, involved with the booking of this company over the years. I blame all of them. I blame the old fucks, the old rejects from the ECWs, the WCWs, the WWEs that came in and hogged top spots and bumped young guys off of TV and helped bury young guys. There's so many different things, and there's so many different people to blame. They all share in the blame. And Mr. Nice Hangover 1. What will your thoughts be if Shane McMahon bought TNA and hired Jim Cornette and Vince Russo as head writers? I can imagine there's more than one TNA and wrestling fan that has that ultimate wet dream of Shane McMahon buying TNA and try to go into war with his dad. It would be kind of cool thinking about it, but we live in the land of reality, unfortunately. If he hired Cornette and Russo as his head writers, no thanks. I'll take a pass on both accounts. As bad as Russo is for his bads, and he is, I think Cornette sometimes he talks a big game in his shoot interviews, and he talks a big game in his interviews he does on the internet. But the reality is a lot of the shit that he was involved with TNA and in particular ROH was very bad. So I don't consider Jim Cornette the creative genius anymore that maybe a lot of other people do and that maybe Jim Cornette does. I think sometimes he's just as bad as Russo in his own different way. At CPZ27, can you see EC3 ever becoming babyface? You never say never. I think the character ultimately works better as a heel. And here's what I always say about heels or faces. I believe every character has a certain period, a window of time to play to one side of the fence in one way. Now, that length of time could be different for every character. It could be 6 months to a year for some, could be 3 years, could be 5 years, could be 9 or 10. But eventually that window closes. You can only be the same type of guy, packaged the same type of way for so long before you eventually start to get diminishing returns and your people, your fans, start to turn against them. That's why Hogan started getting booed at the end of his first WWF run. He was getting booed a lot in some cases in his first couple of years at WCW. That's why Cena has had a split crowd for several years now. It's too much of the exact same thing, too much going this way, and no real changes in the character at all. You don't have those changes in the characters. You don't have those evolutions in the characters, those updating of the characters. You get a diminishing return out of them. And that's why you see, in the WWE, why Daniel Bryan is far more over than John Cena. I don't ever want to hear anybody in the company say from a live event attendance standpoint that John Cena is more over than Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan gets a unanimous babyface reaction, something John Cena only can wish to do after 9 years and being pounded into a top spot. Daniel Bryan is that most unanimous babyface in the WWE today, even over CM Punk, which I wasn't sure I was ever going to say that. He is. I mean, and that's because Daniel Bryan's a much fresher character to the WWE audience as opposed to John Cena's been the same fucking guy with the same fucking gimmick, the same fucking look, the same damn theme music for several years now. And you get diminishing returns after a while because people eventually get tired of the same old shit no matter how much the WWE tries to program us to believe otherwise. At MacDog714, will EC3 win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship sometime this year? I doubt it, but you just never know. If you really want to go all the way with the guy, then you have him do it. When will that stupid bitch Dixie Carter get the fuck off of our TV? Probably no time soon. I'm sure she's having a blast right now, having the time of her life, being a mark for herself. And you know what? Hey, you've already taken the ship down. You might as well hop on and get aboard the sinking vessel. And do you think she'll finally sell TNA to someone this year? Let's hope, but let's hope it's sold to somebody that's going to understand how to do things, got a good mind for business, and will actually do something positive with TNA. Do you think TNA will go all the way if they do manage to turn Gunner babyface? I would hope so, because they just need to create new main eventers, period. And if you're going to go with Gunner and have him be a babyface, then you do need to go all the way with him. But I don't know that they're going to. I just don't give TNA much of the benefit of the doubt on this because, again, they've earned that right. So thanks again to all of you that submitted your questions for this hashtag TNA 2014 Q&A. Remember, the next Q&A will be next Wednesday. That is hashtag Royal Rumble. Go to @OffTheRopeShow, follow @OffTheRopeShow, tweet your questions to the show, and use that hashtag Royal Rumbles for Royal Rumbles past, present, or future. Doesn't matter. And check out the Schleg Daddy Thursday, January 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. An interview on the More to Life, I believe it's called, radio podcast on Blog Talk Radio. The link for that show is in the description box below. Make sure you check it out live. I'm sure my main man Antoine would appreciate that very much.